Welcome everyone. Before I start with this video, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. You may have seen my shorts, or you may be here from my Twitch channel. If you're interested in my streams or you want to join the Kaiiiba Clan, I will leave links below. For those of you who watch me on Twitch, you will already know I have a passion for the Legend of Zelda, which is why I wanted to start my first video off about the Legend of Zelda. With this passion, I'm also very interested in music. I've played the guitar for around 14 years at the time of this recording, amongst some other instruments, as well as creating music digitally. So it should be no surprise that I really enjoy the original soundtracks of games, even to the point where I will listen to them whilst I'm doing something else. I wanted to start off with Zelda, and specifically Ocarina of Time, as it was the first ever Zelda game I played as a child. I love this soundtrack, and the fact that most of my love for it comes from almost 20 years ago shows something. However, this does not mean my views didn't change. The soundtrack in Ocarina of Time is nothing but excellence. The Nintendo 64 had many limiting factors, however Nintendo proved on many occasions that this was no issue, and Ocarina of Time is an example of this. The music producer, Koji Kondo, created the soundtrack for Ocarina of Time. Something so striking about it is the ambience. I would say this is something that helps in keeping it so timeless. Just as a quick disclaimer, this list is purely my opinion. I love all the songs from this game, and trying to figure out 10 wasn't easy. However, I would say my top 10 is probably quite unique with some entries. If your favourite songs from Ocarina of Time differ from mine, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments. Oh, and while you're at it, why not leave a like and subscribe? It's completely free and will ensure you don't miss my next video. With that being said, let's dive right into my top 10 songs from Ocarina of Time. Number 10. Zelda's theme. This was almost my number 11 and would have been narrowly beaten by the minigame theme. But after having a serious think, there was no way I could create this list without including Zelda's theme. For those of you who are long-time Zelda fans, you may already know that the first time this melody and song was used was in A Link to the Past, and it was named Princess Zelda's Rescue. The first time you hear this track in Ocarina of Time is when you sneak into Hyrule Castle to find Zelda. On entering the castle courtyard, the song begins playing, and as soon as that first note hits, I already have shivers down my spine. The music is gentle and has a fairy tale vibe to it, which just works. Especially as Zelda essentially explains the plot with Ganondorf to you, whilst giving you the ultimate quest for your playthrough. The song is nothing but iconic. I would even go as far to say a lot of people who are not fans of the Zelda series would recognise it due to its status. Number 9. The title theme. If there was one song that could match the iconic status of the Zelda theme, it would be the title theme. Picture yourself as a kid for the first time starting the game and hearing this theme. I even remember this experience myself as a kid, just sitting and watching Link travel Hyrule whilst enjoying the music. The song is calm, which is juxtaposed with the start of the game, which sets up the plot in a somewhat dark way with Link's nightmare. This leads me on to believe the title sequence, spoiler alert, is set after defeating Ganondorf, which in a way makes sense as Link is riding around freely as an adult, something he could not have done during his time-sensitive quest. In my opinion, this is the best title song for any Zelda game that has ever been released as of today. This doesn't mean others aren't as good, but I truly believe this title song stands out. The way the instruments are put together and the feeling of going on an adventure is unmatched in this version of the title theme. Number 8. The Lost Woods. Now for a track that's a little more upbeat. How can anyone not enjoy this song? This song plays whilst you're wandering the Lost Woods, probably getting lost, especially if it's your first time playing. The song is full of energy, although it comes across as very mysterious, which is very fitting for the area of the game, as you aimlessly sprint around the various tree trunks trying to find your way. The song is taught to you by your closest friend Saria, and is called Saria's song. Every time you whip out the ocarina and play it, you get a sudden hit of in-game nostalgia from when you were in the Lost Woods. In fact, Nintendo liked this song so much that the melody went on to be featured in 9 other games. You can't help but smile and want to dance when you hear this song. I can definitely confirm that Goran Darunia would agree with me on this. Number 7. Shadow Temple. Well, that was a sudden change, wasn't it? It actually serves as a great benefit to me that these two songs ended up side by side on my list. Whilst a lot of music from this game is quite cheerful, it's mirrored with some very dark tracks like the Shadow Temple. During this point in the game, Hyrule is essentially doomed, which changes the entire vibe. This song is perfectly fitting for this, with its very ambient and creepy sound. I actually think that the quality limitations of the hardware only help to make this song even creepier. The Shadow Temple is a fan favourite dungeon due to its extremely dark theme, especially for children. I won't go too much into detail on the dungeon, as that would be better for another video, but if I was to say it's an abandoned interrogation chamber, then I'm sure the ghostly moans and cries in the song would haunt you even more than they already did. This is one example of how Ambience in Ocarina of Time's soundtrack can really change things up. Number 6. Lon Lon Ranch. Once again, the fact this song is right next to the Shadow Temple is brilliant. This song shows that the singing, if we can call it that, doesn't always sound creepy. The coolest thing about this is if you go find Malon, arguably Link's crush according to some, sorry Zelda, you can actually see her singing the melody, which is a nice unique detail of the track. The theme of Lon Lon Ranch gives you the feeling everything's alright, or at least it's going to be alright. Despite its overall positive vibe, there are some lower tones in the song which makes it better because it becomes more emotional. The song is deep, and I've often come across comments by fans saying the song can induce tears, or the opposite, a great big smile, which is completely understandable. It's nostalgic, it's warm, it feels like home. The song is very familiar, and whilst Hyrule is in despair, it's a nice balance. Number 5. Gerudo Valley. What a way to kick off the top 5, right? Where do I even start with this theme? The song is nothing but charming. Something I love about Ocarina of Time is the link, no pun, to some of the cultures we see in our very own world. The desert area, the Gerudo, and this song combined sets the scene to such an incredible area design. The first few notes hit, and then we're greeted with a beautiful melody that is very catchy. I will admit when I first started to learn the guitar, I learned this song and would play it for hours. Whilst the guitar is my favourite part of the track, I have to mention the trumpets too. When they kick in, we get this feeling of something grand, which adds to the atmosphere of the desert, making it feel larger than it is. Compared to the rest of the soundtrack, this song really stands out, which is why I think it makes the Gerudo segment so special. All of this together makes the Gerudo Valley theme a fan favourite, something I have absolutely no problem with. Number 4. Zora's Domain. I absolutely love the Zora's Domain theme. If I had to describe it, I would say it's magical and enchanting, promoting a paradise-like setting. Whenever I went swimming as a kid, this theme often played in the back of my head, and it still does today sometimes. The style is once again quite unique, with its steel pan drums and light guitar. It sounds like it's very inspired from the Caribbean. Just like the Gerudo Valley theme, the theme for Zora's Domain is so unique that it makes the area of the game very memorable and special, to the point where I would actually spend a lot of time at Zora's Domain, swimming around or just sitting there listening to the music. The song actually featured in Majora's Mask as a carbon copy. While this makes sense as most of Majora's Mask was made from Ocarina of Time assets, other soundtracks were often adapted or changed, proving this song was just perfect already. In my opinion, this is how Paradise would sound if it was a song, giving it number 4 on my list. Number 3. Water Temple. Maybe I just love water, who knows, but this theme is just incredible. I would also describe it as enchanting, but in a completely different way to Zora's Domain. The Water Temple is infamous for its confusing nature and arguably poor design. I can't help but feel the music teases the player even more. The composition of instruments make the song seem very mysterious, adding to the idea that this was once a great temple where people would worship gods. Another thing this track does very well is its ambience, which adds to the setting even more. It's a feeling of emptiness, but also of an enchanted nature, which perfectly captures the feeling of us being deep underwater. This is a soundtrack I can listen to over and over again. You often find yourself hearing small details you may not have noticed before. In this video, I won't be commenting on my opinion of the Water Temple, but I will say the soundtrack is incredible and one of my favourite dungeon themes from the entire series. Number 2. Sheik's theme. It's simplistic, it's catchy, it's a work of art. Have you ever played a game where you loved a song that much you would specifically stop in that section of the game to listen to it? This was that song for me. The track is with one instrument, the harp. I even went on to learn it on guitar, and considered buying a harp. The song is beautiful, it's nostalgic, it takes me to a happy place, somewhere that's calm and peaceful. I could put this on and listen to it for hours and hours. As a child it was frustrating, the only way to listen to this track was to interact with Sheik. Unlike Zora's Domain where I could just chill out, I couldn't just visit there and experience it whenever I wanted. This is an example of how a song doesn't need to be full of instruments or advanced melodies to be excellent. There's something just so nostalgic about this song, where I can't help but smile when I listen to it. Whilst it isn't a total fan favourite, I know there are a lot of Zelda fans who feel the same as me about this song. If I had to consider my all-time favourite Zelda songs, this one would rank very high on my list, with very good reason. Number 1. Forest Temple. Are you even surprised? This soundtrack is nothing but perfect. The Forest Temple is such a popular talking point for the Zelda community as it's so mysterious, and the song captures this in every way possible. The ambience and use of instruments creates an unsettling vibe, which gives us the perfect atmosphere. The song gives us the feeling that we're alone, or are we? This is what makes it so good. It's unusual, but in a weird way peaceful. The mix of feelings we get is what makes it so unsettling, which just proves its mastery as a soundtrack. Call me weird, but I remember nights where I couldn't sleep, and for some reason this song could help me sleep. I can admit, I still listen to this song regularly. The music is brilliant in contrast to the previous dungeons we faced as Child Link. Now as an adult, there is a lot more at stake, and the overall feel of the world has changed, the dungeons included. The Zelda community often regard this soundtrack as one of the best to ever exist. I couldn't agree more. Amongst all of Koji Kondo's works in Ocarina of Time, this one gets the status of a masterpiece, which is why it ranks as my favourite song from Ocarina of Time. To conclude my top 10, the music of Ocarina of Time was iconic. I often find myself listening to the entire soundtrack because it is so good. The ambience and music captured into one set this game apart from others. I could actually say it was ahead of its time. Ranking them was not easy, but after listening to the entire soundtrack again, I can safely say I'm happy with my top 10. If you agree with my list, or disagree, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what songs are your favourite from this game, or if you had any feelings similar to mine. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'm going to go through the different Zelda titles and make similar videos on my top 10 songs from them. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.